Arken versus Eotech. So I've got both of these scopes in hand. They're not identical comparisons. This is the Eotech Vudu 1:10, and this is the Arken EP8 1:8. So it's a 2-power difference. However, I recently had the Eotech Vudu 1:8 with the HC3 reticle, and a lot of those characteristics and style decisions kind of transfer over to the 1:10. Obviously the 1:8 is slightly lighter than the 1:10. However, that is one of the characteristics of the Arken, is it is a little bit of a heavier optic. So I thought I'd just make a quick comparison video, in hand, kind of side by side. I know a lot of people are cross-shopping these two optics, especially the 1:8 Vudu. It's sort of tough because the 1:8 Arken is so affordable compared to pretty much any of the Eotech optics. However, if I'm going to be completely honest, and I've shot a lot of guns, I've been shooting for a long time, I've got a lot of experience with different optics and brands and companies, things like that. It seems to me that we're getting more budget options that actually do hold up over long term than we used to. Back in the day, you had, Holosun, and they were probably one of the only optic companies aside from the big, Trijicon, Aimpoint, stuff like that, Leopold, that really held up to the abuse that similar optics would, but for a way less cost. And then all the rest of them, the more cheap ones like Siley and the Amazon brand ones, everyone knew they were trash. There's still a lot of trash out there, but a lot of those companies are kind of stepping up their game. You have Gideon Optics now, you have C&H Precision Optics coming in at a really nice budget price for an optic that, for not a whole lot of difference when it comes to hardware, function, quality, things like that. They may not have the long-term reputation that these other legacy companies have, but for anybody who is willing to kind of take that risk and experiment a little bit and check them out, a lot of those options actually will save you a lot of money, and that's at the end of the day, it's kind of what we're looking for. Real quick, just to kind of go over these optics, I'll go over the Eotech first. The Vudu 1:10 is fairly lightweight. It's a 34mm tube. The 1:8 Vudu is a 30mm tube, so it is thinner in diameter than the Arken, so you can't use the same mounts. The 1:8 Vudu is a little bit lighter than the Arken by a few ounces, not by much though, not by much. And it has a reticle called the HC3 reticle. If I can, I'll put up a picture. It's a very basic reticle. 1:8s are mostly going on AR-15s these days, and so you're not really dialing. With an AR-15, you're usually not shooting far enough to dial. There are some circumstances, but oftentimes you're not. And so usually what you're doing is using a BDC to hold your reticle somewhere different around the target you're looking at to connect at the target. The HC3 reticle is very simple. I'm sure it's useful. However, me personally, I don't think it gives the shooter enough information, even for under 400, 500 yards. You're really struggling to get accurate holds and like wind calls and things like that, because there's just not enough information there to really dictate how you should be holding your optic and your reticle over your target. That's one thing that I do like about the Arken, is it has the kill box reticle. Some people don't like it. I'm not really sure why. I think it's a really, really smart reticle. It's simple enough to not kind of clutter the view whenever you're at 1 power and using it more as like I don't want to say CQB, it's kind of cringy, but like, up close stuff. The Arken kill box reticle is really smart. I'll throw a picture here as well. It uses, a top kind of center chevron, center illuminated red dot section that has different holds in it. And then below it, it has these upside down L-shaped brackets that are flipped as they go down. And all you do is you put that top line of that L-shaped bracket on the shoulder line of your target, pull the trigger, and you'll get a hit. It's super easy. It's super simple. But it's extremely effective. It's a great reticle. And then they also do have wind holds on the side, and almost a Christmas tree shape, kind of tapers up to the top. But it's awesome. It's not busy, it's not cluttered, it's super effective, gives you lots of information. I like it a lot. Again, the HC3 on the Eotech is a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. There may be some guys that like that style of reticle, but not something I'm interested in, especially for 800 to, I think that scope retails for like 1400, but you can find them now for you know, 800 to 1,000 to 1,100-ish, kind of around there. The Arken EP8 1-8 comes in, I got mine for $280. On their website, depending on what sales they're running, it can range from all the way up to like $450, all the way down to $280 if they're running like a Black Friday sale or something, kind of a significant once a year type, you know, bargain sale type thing. I got mine for $280 from a dealer, but it's awesome, man. Like, this scope is so good. It is there's not many frills. It's not too bougie, if that makes any sense, but it's just quality. It feels tough. The coating feels almost identical to the Eotech's. It doesn't scratch very easily. It's all aluminum, so it's gonna take dents and scratches and things like that as you use the optic. As far as, you know, just random, like you brush it up against some trees, it's gonna scratch or something. No, it won't. The coating is very good. They both have capped windage and elevation turrets right there, and they are lockable. So for a budget scope, having lockable turrets, that's pretty awesome. There are some like Burris optics and what's the other one? Monstrum is another Amazon brand that don't offer this on all their scopes. And again, 280 guys, 280. The left side dial is your illumination. Underneath here, it takes a CR 2032 or 2030, I can't remember, battery, standard disc battery. The dial, you probably won't be able to hear it. Super great. Nice, really strong detents. You're not going to accidentally bump it into an illumination and then forget it's on and kill your battery. It does have 9 illumination settings plus 2 night vision, and the entire reticle is illuminated. So at 1x, this optic has kind of like the Eotech donut of death for, you know, when you're kind of close up doing things, you know, within regular kind of like flat range distances. And then as you zoom in, it's second focal plane, so that donut of death disappears, and then you start seeing the illuminated central dot of the Killbox BDC. Super awesome. One thing I did notice about the Arken versus the Eotech that I really appreciate that Arken did, and I'm pretty disappointed in Eotech for doing, and I hear all my lefties out there, I get it, like not everybody is a right-handed shooter. However, the majority of us are right-handed shooters, and the Arken throw lever at 1x is on the right side of the optic. So if you're a right-handed shooter and, you know, you're shooting this thing and you put it down on a sling, there's nothing here to stab you. The optic throw lever is on this side. Because, I mean, you're really not going to be slinging your rifle at 8x for the most part. Usually at 8x, you're going to be bipoded, you're going to be posted up prone somewhere, and then that's when you're going to crank it to full magnification. But when it's resting on you, this is pointing away from you. On the Eotech, and it's on both of them, the throw lever starts on the left and then goes all the way over to the right. So now if I'm at 1x doing flat range stuff and I let this sucker, you can kind of see that, come down on my sling, that you can see it, that digs right into your sternum. And it's not, I mean, it's not sharp or anything, but it's a pretty pointed little protrusion out of the optic. So, you know, maybe, I'm not an engineer, I don't know if there's a reason why they did that, but I would have really appreciated a system like the Arken where it's on the other side. That being said, the Eotech optics, both the 1-8 and the 1-10, have kind of this knurling around the back tube. And so you can just twist this with your fingers and change the illumination this way. So theoretically, you could take off the throw lever, run it skinny, and then just change the magnification by twisting the entire tube. Or you could run it with a throw lever and stab yourself in the sternum and not have a great time. So kind of a small quality of life thing. I will say on both the 1-8 and 1-10 Vudu, they do use, they have a lockable turrets as well. The 1-10 has an easy lock turret where you just lift it up like this. You make your adjustments and push it back down and it locks it. So pretty cool. I mean, I'll be completely honest and fair. That's really sweet. Maybe it's not quite as strong theoretically as a traditional cap turret with a lock on it, but I mean, that's super good. That's super easy to use. The detents on both, I'll kind of go ahead and show you guys how they sound. Sound pretty good on the Eotech. A little bit soft, not quite as clicky. And then here's the Arken. A little bit more clicky, but it feels soft too. So not like it's gonna adjust itself automatically, or excuse me, inadvertently, and you're gonna lose zero or anything like that. It's not soft like that. I just mean the actual almost kind of harshness of the detent. So now I'm gonna see if I can get you guys some kind of first person images through the scopes. Again, this is a 1 to 10 Eotech, not a 1 to 8, but I'll hold it at 1 to 8 power, and that way it's kind of like an equal comparison, just so you can kind of see glass clarity, eye relief, things like that. There is some small differences, but again, for the cost difference of about 800 bucks, maybe a little bit more, especially in the case of the 1 to 10, the 1 to 10's MSRP is high. It's over 1,500 bucks. That's not street price, but that's what they, you know, that's what they market it at. For the cost difference of over 800 bucks, those differences are not super important. I'll just say that. So I'm gonna get these things posted up and see if I can get some kind of first person shots. All right, guys, I'm gonna try and get the best POV angles I can get. I'm just using my iPhone, so the footage is not gonna be perfect. Kind of take it with a grain of salt if you can, but just to give it a general idea of the reticles and the clarity, I'll do the best I can. So first, these are both on 1 power right now. First, I'll go ahead and do the Arken. Here's the Arken. So there's your Arken right there, 1 power. You can see that kind of Eotech style donut of death. It's bright out here. We're in the shade looking into the sun, and you can still see that red on the reticle. So the illumination is definitely sufficient. Kind of check it out there. And the scope's housing is thin enough where it does kind of disappear in your eye line, which is nice. So really, honestly, an enjoyable reticle and good glass. They claim that this is Japanese glass on the website, so whether that's true or not, who knows, but that's what they claim. So let's go ahead and do the Eotech now. There you go. So there's your Eotech reticle. Both of these have fresh batteries. I changed them out specifically for this comparison. You can see the Eotech reticle. Again, this is the 1 to 10. This is not how the 1 to 8 exact comparison would be. The 1 to 8 does not have this, the donut of death. All it has is a more traditional cross-section black etched reticle with HC3 kind of simple ballistic hash mark drops. So definitely not the same comparison, but there's glass quality there on the Eotech. A little bit of distortion on the edges, the very edges. Not bad at all. Good light transmission. Colors are very, very similar to actual colors for the human eye. We'll go back to the Arken. A little bit of distortion on the outside. I might need to shift the diopter as well. But color transmission is good. Light transmission is good. Very nice. So let's go ahead and go up to 8 power. And I'll do 8 power on this one, even though this is the 1 to 10. I'll go ahead and do 8 power on this one too, to kind of keep it a little bit fair and just to check out the clarity at that point. All right, so we got 8 power on here and full power, which is 8 power on this one here. And I actually do need to change my diopter real quick. Quick note about the diopters as well. This is fully screwed in, and there's still a little bit of a gap there, which could just be a design choice, but I feel like that would kind of leave room for intrusion of sand and grit to get in, versus the Arkens is nearly flush when you're fully screwed in on the diopter. So just a quick, simple observation I just noticed. So let's go ahead and check out the Arken 8X. This is going to be even harder because as you zoom in magnification, the eye box does get smaller. So there's your 8X right there. There's your kill box reticle. Oh, and there's a guy who doesn't know I'm aiming at him with the scope. These aren't on guns, so he's fine. So there's your kill box right there. So you have that top center half circle with the center dot. You have your kill box hash marks all the way down. You have your 4 through 8 wind calls, and the 2 little arrows on the left and right are for moving targets. So this reticle is super easy to understand. It's very simple, it's efficient, it's smart. It's not crowded. Like it's awesome. It's a great reticle. I think it was designed by some sort of, you know, special operations guy or something like that. But yeah, overall, awesome reticle, great design. Eye box is a little tight at 8X, as you can kind of tell. But if you're proned up, you know, it's not gonna be a problem. So 8X on the Eotech Vudu 1-10. Again, this is not the 1-8. And this is not the reticle that would be exactly compared, but this is the Eotech's reticle for their 1-10. So after you zoom in, you lose that massive donut of death, and then you get this cross-section reticle here. The center is illuminated. You can kind of see the LED kind of flashing of the frame rate of the camera. And then you have your wind holds and your elevation holds right there. A little bit simpler, a little bit more busy, but the overall shape is very easy for the eye to pick up. So it kind of helps you naturally aim a little bit easier, but there's less actual usable information as far as a quick kind of hold like the Arken's kill box, where it's a very quick system. You put that top hash mark on the shoulders of your target, pull the trigger, you'll get a hit, you know, so very simple. But overall, that is a quick comparison side by side of the Arken EP8 versus a Eotech Vudu. Again, this is 1-10, not 1-8. However, most of the technology and design is identical, aside from this having a quick unlocking and locking turret. Everything else about the 1-8 Vudu to this one in, you know, finish, design, features, things like that are completely the same.